600 miles. That's longer than some people's New Year's resolution lasts. Today we're putting the PuckiPuppy Golden R under the spotlight. After 600 miles of mud, gravel, sand, a little bit of blacktop, and maybe a little bit of abuse. Has it held up, or is this thing begging for an early retirement? Let's find out. Alright folks, 600 miles in and we're still standing. Well, me at least. And the bike's hanging in there too. Now, in order to keep this review as fair as possible, and not me just rambling about how the seat feels after I've ate too much fried chicken at deer camp, we've developed 10 criteria for what makes the perfect hunting e-bike. Each category is scored up to 3 points for a total of 30 points. And we've thrown in 4 bonus points for the little things that do matter in the real world. Think of it like e-bike school, but with way more mud and a lot less cafeteria pizza. If you want to see the final score, you'll have to stick around till the end, and I'll warn you, the results may surprise you. So let's dive in. Now, if you missed the first video on the Golden R, I'll drop a link for you down below. Quick refresher though, it is a dual motor, all-wheel drive pulling power. It's a fat tire e-bike with full suspension, and it does have the dual hydraulic disc brakes front and rear with 180 millimeter rotors. It's got an advertised peak watt of 1600 watts with the combined dual motors, and enough payload to haul you and your gear and your fishing cooler. Basically, it's a budget hunting or fishing rig on 2 wheels. And the combined payload for this bike is 400 pounds, which is impressive. After 600 miles, here's the truth. Durability, the frame is solid, the suspension is still smooth, and the dual motors haven't even coughed once. But the tires, you know, they're generic, non-branded tires. They wore out faster than a Walmart camping chair at a family reunion. We have swapped them out, and honestly, it's been a great upgrade. Performance by terrain, mud. Dual motors do make a huge difference, but you're still going to feel like you're auditioning for a rodeo now and again when it gets really slick. Gravel, stable enough, but don't get real cocky. Those little rocks are just waiting to rearrange your dental work. Sand, let's just say it, if you've skipped leg day, you're going to regret it. Blacktop, surprisingly smooth for a fat tire hunting e-bike. Not Tour de France smooth, but hey, those guys don't carry tree stands and all the other gear that we'd be carrying in the woods anyways. Pros, one of the biggest win. The dual motor power, it pulls trailers, gear, and my stubborn self up some steep hills without much of a complaint. The suspension and brakes are solid. The payload capacity is actually a hunter's dream. Customer service, when I had a couple of small issues, I contacted them via email, and they helped me get the smaller issues fixed. I do have a video on that called Zero Customer Service. I'll put a link down below as well. Dual suspension is a nice upgrade, and if you ever ride a dual suspension bike, you may never want to go back to a hardtail bike again. Cons, the stock tires, handlebars could use some stretching. We actually replaced ours, because comfort matters on a long ride. And these things are heavy. If you have to lift it, you're either the Incredible Hulk or you're calling for a buddy. I think the front fork, albeit it works, but a better fork up front would help the weight and the torque from that hub drive. It would make a huge difference. The seat post that comes with this bike is too short for the advertised rider. It is a cheap $20 fix. Now, so that we can keep this video as non-biased as possible, I've actually developed a category of 10 things. 10 things that I wished I had known prior to buying my first hunting e-bike, as well as the 10 categories so that we can actually give this bike a non-biased score. We will score the bike based on the following criteria. Each category has a score from 1 to 3 for a total possible of 30, and then we have an additional 4 points that are bonus points. The bike scores in the following areas. Number 1 is going to be how waterproof is the bike. IPX6 or 7 being the best. This bike is only an IP4, so it gets a score of 1. The reason it gets a score of 1 instead of 0 is they actually ship this bike with a rain cover. They do provide you a cover to help protect the bike from storms. Next category is going to be air ride. Air ride is truly important because you can change the preload for various riding, especially when you're talking about hunting, because you can have the bike set up in the off season for your weight, and then with the quick adjustment with a shock pump, you can actually adjust the bike so that it's set up properly for the weight that you're going to be adding, i.e. your tree stands, your backpack, your hunting gear and make it a lot easier. This bike scores a 1. It does have dual suspension, but it is going to be a spring load. It does have the lockout in the front, but no lockout in the rear. Number 3, this is going to be tricky. 750 watt or less motor, making it a class 2 e-bike. The reason that we're sticking with the 750 watts is the majority of your public hunting and fishing areas, they restrict the motor to 750 watt or less. And it could be less than 750 watt in your area. So you need to check on that. The bike's going to score a 1 here as well. And the reason it's kind of tricky is this dual front motor is going to make it illegal on the majority of the places. Since there's no clear description on what the actual watts are of this motor, the advertised 960 watt peak is going to make it over that limit. I do believe if you disconnect the front hub motor, it may make this bike legal in your area, but that's something you need to know if you plan on using this in public areas. Number 4, legal lighting from the factory. This bike does ship with a headlight and a tail light. You've got a little bit of a bonus here because the tail light actually gets brighter when you apply the brakes. So that's a big win. You're actually going to get a score of 3, and then for a bonus round, the bike does have a horn or a signal device that ships from the factory. So you're going to get 1 bonus point here as well. Category number 5, is the battery UL certified with a quick charger? The reason that a quick charger is important if you're hunting, that means less time back at camp with the charger running. This bike is not UL certified and ships with a slow 2 amp charger. The score in this rating is a number 1. And just for clarification purposes, UL certification means that they care about you and your safety as the consumer. Category number 6, load capacity. This bike ships from the factory and its specs show that it's a 400-pound capacity. We're going to give it a score of 3 in this category because I believe that is really good when you're talking about your average person plus hunting gear. I will also say this, we've loaded it down with about 350 pounds, and I think that realistically is a closer to the max. Category number 7, speaking of load capacity, it needs to have gears that will work properly when the bike's loaded. This bike ships with a front ring that's very tall. That's great for high-speed trails. It's not going to help you in the backcountry, especially if you have a failure. The score here is going to be a 1, simply because it's geared too high. If you have a failure, you're not riding this bike back to camp. Number 8, opposite side of the gearing is what kind of brakes does the bike ship with? Will it stop the bike and will it hold your speed down on those steep descents? The bike has single piston disc brakes both front and rear. They are hydraulic. They have 180 millimeter rotors, which is standard with normal weight capacity. So the brakes get a score of 1. If they were quad piston brakes with a 203 millimeter rotor up front, it would score a 3. Since these aren't quad piston brakes, it's going to get a score of 1. These are the same brakes that ship with the single hub motors. Category number 9, and we're going to be talking about the advertised range. It's advertised at 80-mile range. If you're in pedal assist 1, and you're not carrying luggage, and you're talking about the bare bone bike, for my average rider weight, this is probably a fair statement. However, it's a little bit ambitious, but I wouldn't call it outrageous. I've been able to get 60 miles, which ain't bad for a guy that's a little overweight, and I've always got some gear on the bike. Score here is going to be a 2. And then lastly, one of the final categories is going to be price and value. This bike is priced at $2,000, which is a fair value for a full suspension e-bike with dual motors. So the category rating here, we're going to give it a 3. Honorable mention, customer service after the sale, because it does matter, especially if you're a consumer. 0 scores a 3 here. In a perfect world, you'll never need customer service after the sale. The bike should work problem-free, so the points here that are given do not add to the total score because it would not be fair to add points if your bike was problem-free and you never experienced customer service after the sale. So with a total score of 16 points and 3 for honorable mention for the customer service, there are very few, if any, unicorns in the world, so 16 is a really good score overall. Keeping it simple with only a possible 3 in each category After 600 miles, the Golden R has held its own across mud, sand, gravel, and pavement, but I'm always looking for the next test. So if you're a company and you believe that your e-bike can handle this level of real-world use, send it my way. I'll give you the same no-nonsense review. For everyone else, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that next big adventure. Let me know your thoughts down below. Is my attempt to bring you a scoring rating for the e-bike, and specifically ones that are called hunting and fishing adventure bikes? I'd rather see a score system to help see if it's worth the money or not. Let's score these bikes and show on a chart how they're all rated. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. With your help, we can do that. If you found any of this information valuable, please consider hitting that thumbs up button down below, and maybe even that thanks button if you learned something. Again, we appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you all have a blessed week, and let's get outside and make something happen.